Hey, welcome to Creative Block. We're your hosts, Gene.
And V, we interview people in the animation industry about their life, work, and hobbies while we doodle jam.
We asked people on Twitter if they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts.
And today with us, we have Ian Higginbotham.
Woo!
Hey, it's a me, Ian Higginbotham.
It's a you!
It's a yo.
It's like we weren't just talking, but we were. Sorry, I just wanna...
Yeah, we have to pretend like we just signed on.
I like to break the immersion, you know what I'm saying?
Immediately, thanks.
Sorry.
I think every guest so far has broken the immersion in some way, so you're part of a good club.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty well. How's it going with you?
I'm good. You know, we're like I was saying before, we're all working from home, so
Yep.
I'm able to work on the East Coast. You know, I had to come back for some family reasons, but it's good. It's been good. Everything's running smoothly. Still working, folks. The animation industry's not stopping.
It has not stopped for a second.
Always grinding.
Always grinding. It hurts. I'm just kidding. We're good.
Thank you so much for making it onto the show, even though like you're all the way out there and you're like doing your thing in the East Coast. The first time I met you, Ian, that was actually really funny because we were both like new hires. We were the same day at Warner Brothers.
Yes.
Kind of waiting around to start on Thundercats Roar, the beloved show by the internet.
Yeah,
The internet's darling.
Man, they love it, huh? They really like it.
The most successful reboot.
Do you remember we were sitting in the lobby of Warner Brothers, and you and Keith were sitting, the other new hire, were sitting in the lobby, and you guys weren't talking. Everybody was just looking at their phones.
We were just like being two big weirdos.
Typical millennials.
And I had to go over and be like, "Hey guys, Are you on Thundercats too?" And we all became best friends from that day forward. It was great.
Yeah, if it wasn't for you, Ian, we would still be strangers.
I know. I never would have talked even on the show.
Yeah. And actually was we'll like rewind all the way to you being a little kid, but like was Thundercats Roar your first industry job?
It was my first boarding gig. I had actually freelanced for a couple shows. I did some, what was it? I guess it was like some design work for Teen Titans Go.
You did?
Yeah, so they did this like famous, what do you call it? The 80s episode where they The Night Begins to Shine. It was the second part, and they hit me up to do a flashback sequence. So I took the characters I took the boards and I sort of drew it in my style, and it was cool. It was a really fun job. So
that's cool.
That was like one of the first. I did like a job for Shadow Machine. I was doing animation for an Adult Swim pilot, and
which one was it?
It was called Chuck Deuce. It was cool. It was fine.
That's a big endorsement.
Yeah, you know, it exists. No, it's fun. It's fun. No, it was really funny, and I worked with really cool people. I met a lot of. I mean, that's the thing about animation that's super fun is you usually meet a lot of cool cats that you stay friends with over time.
That's true.
Hopefully.
I wonder if you know anyone that's working on my crew right now, because apparently they stole a lot of people from Shadow Machine.
Oh, yeah, probably. The thing at Netflix you're working on?
Yeah, I think I can say what it is, because they announced it on Variety.
Yeah.
It's Captain Fawn, adult show. Woo. Did you work in-house at all at Shadow Machine, Ian?
Yeah, so Shadow Machine was it was a short gig, but it was in-house. It was like those were my first. So I actually moved. I moved to Los Angeles in 2017, I think, early 2017. And before that, I was doing some crazy stuff, some weird working at a t-shirt company.
Okay.
You know what? Let's actually really back all the way. Let's do it chronologically, because
let's take it back.
Because because then like it's all gonna be streamlined. So,
okay,
Baby Ian, tell us about Baby Ian.
Oh, Baby Ian.
Baby Ian, Baby Laser.
He was a little cutie Patootie. He
draw him.
Okay. Well, I'll draw baby Ian. He was like this. He had really big eyeballs. Little, like,
whoa, shit.
Cute little. I was like a little anime baby, and I was like, I don't know anime. I don't know what anime is yet.
But he'll know
soon. And I was like, yeah. I was like this.
Wow, that's a good picture.
All right. Oh my god.
Fun fact: did you know that your eyeballs are the same size from when you're a baby to when you're an adult?
Really?
Yeah, they don't change at all. That's why eyes look big on a baby, because it's like they're the same size as they are when you're older. Same eyes.
And then I was always like posing, in my diapers.
Oh damn, that's a fly baby.
And I was like, "What's up, dudes?
Wow,
I'm just chilling." Because I don't know if you knew this.
Damn, that's a chill ass baby.
My first gig ever was a baby model.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I was a baby model in New York City.
Oh man.
And I was like, "What's up, camera? I'm so cute." And then I grew up, and now I'm kind of weird looking, but as a baby, very cute. But it's fun.
Yeah, but that's like, it's like the weirdest looking child. The child actors that end up looking the weirdest are always the cutest.
Yeah, I was like Haley Joel Osment, or I guess I am.
Exactly. He's got a tiny face.
Yeah.
Why does he have such a tiny face?
Where do you need all that head for?
He's got so much head.
Come on.
He's a very cute kid, but man, it's like he just kept growing and his face didn't stop.
Baby.
Anyway.
But yeah, sorry. So I got off track there. Sorry, folks.
I got fired up about Haley Joel.
Yeah. So as a kid, my mom tells the story that she put a pen in my hand and she would give me magazines and I would start doodling on the magazines and she would look and she'd see I draw circles around every character's eyeball, and it's because my dad wore glasses.
Oh, interesting.
So that was like my first. My mom's an artist, so she really encouraged.
Oh, okay.
She's like really good drawer. Sorry, I burped a little bit while I was talking.
We'll edit it out.
And no, keep that in. I want that in there.
Oh shit. Okay, never mind. We'll keep it in. Clem, keep it in.
And so I always drew as a kid, and I was kind of like the stereotypical artist kid. Always like I also had a beard.
Damn, that's a bearded cute baby.
And I always
cute beardy baby.
I always drew on the sides of my homework. It was just like filled. So I was like a horrible student. I was actually a really good student up to like a point, and then I don't know. I guess I lost interest in school. Probably
like middle school,
junior high. Yeah, around that time, like 7th grade. I started like I don't know. I just certain subjects I was interested in, but I always drew, and then but I didn't want to get into animation. I didn't really know. I just knew I liked drawing. I always liked comics and stuff, and I liked animation. But I wanted to be a filmmaker.
Oh, so you were into films? Films was your
yeah. That was a big influence from my dad and my mom. They both showed me like really crazy movies that you probably shouldn't show like a 4-year-old. Like Aliens.
No, whatever.
Like
whatever.
Like I remember seeing like RoboCop like way too young.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. This, like all my sketchbooks were just guys getting their head blown off. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, he's gonna be fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd always like doodle my homework, and then, but I really wanted to be a film director, so I got a camera, and I would wrangle my friends in high school and grades and like junior high, and we'd make these like horror films, and like we made a kung fu movie, even though none of us know any martial arts.
Doesn't matter.
And this is the best part. So I had no editing equipment, so I'd have to edit in camera.
Oh no.
So like stuff would like sort of clip over, and then I had I would have techno music blasting in the background, and it would be all cut up and weird to like try to because I had there's no like overlay. So yeah, it was fun. So that's kind of like what I was like, oh, I'll do that, but my dad, he actually works in like commercials and stuff, and I had gone on a couple like sets with him, and I don't know if you've ever been on like a set, but it's very boring. There's a lot of waiting around.
Yeah, seems like it.
And and I'm like, oh, I want like instantaneous gratification, and so you get that when you're drawing, you know, it's like, oh, I want to make something and it's right there.
Do you mean because it's like, because you see the result of your work right away?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
It's like you don't have to like wait for the lighting crew to come in and light the scene. You don't have to wait for the actors. You know, it's like, you know, and that was like the other thing is like, you know, I would try, you know, I'd have this idea for like a project, like a little short film. And then I couldn't get any of my friends, you know, because they were busy, you know, with school or homework or whatever. So I don't know what this guy is. He's like a wizard, like a space wizard or something.
Just follow your heart, man.
I like how we are just drawing
Yeah.
babies. So yeah, so that was like sort of the beginning of like, you know, for what I wanted to do creatively. You know, I was like, I want to be Spike Jonze. I want to make music videos and and movies and all this stuff. But I always like kept a sketchbook and drew. And here's the this is not going to make me sound great, but like I dropped out of college twice. I barely graduated high school. I don't know. I was just not a what do you call it? Academic kid.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do more creative, you know, pursuits and play lots of video games. I'm not gonna like say I was like a cool kid making stuff all the time, but yeah. I went to like the University of Cincinnati. I went in their fine arts program, you know, but I wanted to make movies, and they don't have that, so you know, I dropped out. And then I thought I wanted to do graphic design, and I was like, but I always had this like goal of getting into like more creative stuff. Just never quite seeing the path, never knowing what it was until I heard about School of Visual Arts in New York City, and I saw this sort of work that they were producing, and a lot of my, you know, I got really into like different illustrators like James Jean and Tomer Hanukkah. These are like they're all like they kind of like were into comics, but they're like kind of known for being like big time illustrators, and they all went to like SVA. So I sort of like, you know, I was like, maybe I can do it. I'll try. I probably won't get in, but maybe I will.
Did you look up kind of like the career of these artists that you really liked at the time?
I did. So, you know, back in the day, people had their own websites. Oh, you hear my dog howling?
Put him on the show.
Come on. There she goes.
I got some questions for your dog.
Annie, come here. Yeah, so people had like websites back in the day, and in the profile, I would see that they all went to SVA. So I started researching, and then I have family that live in New York City, so I went up and visited them, and they took me on like a tour, like a college tour.
Oh, cool.
And I saw the brochure that they give you of like work, and I was like, damn, all these guys are so good, you know, there's no way I can get it. But then I was like looking at it, and I was like, oh, but this one isn't that good. I could do that. maybe I could get in.
I love that. Okay, I love that ego talking, because I think we've all had a moment like that.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
We've all had a moment where it's like,
hey, I'm just being real, man.
Yeah. This is a professional, really?
I'm just as good as this guy. So if they can get their work featured in the brochure, I at least have a chance of getting in to SVA.
Maybe they do that on purpose. Maybe they use some stuff that's like that's not their best students, you know, but it's like,
I think that's a great thing, because it gives you the confidence. Probably. You know, I think.
Yeah.
I hope I can be that example to somebody. I hope they could see my stuff.
You want to be the bad example?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Like, if I can inspire someone to be like, well, he can do it.
I can be better than this idiot.
I can be better than that asshole. Yeah, why not?
Jackass.
Because it worked for me.
Aim for the moon, man.
But so yeah, I got in SVA. I didn't go for animation. I went for illustration. And SVA is like they're more like editorial. I mean, they kind of do everything, you know. But it seems like the famous bigwig illustrators that come out of there all kind of do cool editorial work.
When you say editorial, do you mean like newspaper?
like
Mhm.
magazine. Yeah, and and obviously that was like, I don't think they were like, they kind of like, what I found out with SVA is that they just want you to find your voice,
I see.
and so they're like, this is what we do, but college is kind of your time, so do what works for you. So my senior year, I was trying to be like an editorial illustrator, but I did always enjoy watching animation. And then I remember my girlfriend, she had some friends that were trying to pitch a show,
Oh yeah.
and they asked us to help, like do some character design stuff, and we were like, oh yeah, sure, let's go over. So we go over their house, and then they would just like smoke pot all day and like
That sounds familiar.
and not like do anything.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, and I was like, wait a second, I could pitch a show. Like, why do I need these guys? Like, why do I need, like, I have ideas. Like, why don't I just do this? So for my senior thesis at SVA, I pitched a show. Like, I kind of, came up with an idea, and then I made character designs. I did like scenes. I did some animation, and that was sort of my first like experience, or more, of kind of like trying to get a career in animation.
Yeah.
Did you were you still in illustration at the time, or could you change like major?
No, I graduated with an illustration as an illustrator, or in that department. I guess you get a BFA, and then I tried for years. So after I graduated, I did some freelance.
What kind of freelance?
I did like editorial magazine illustrations. There's this magazine called Time Out New York.
Yeah. Sure.
Oh yeah.
And in the beginning days, you could do these like picture comics, and they paid like $100. And I remember at the time thinking like, oh, $100, I'm going to be able to pay my rent. This is great.
Oh man, yeah.
And so yeah, I would do these like oh, and one of them like blew up years later.
Oh yeah.
And it's so cringe. I like cannot stand. I don't know about you guys.
Wait, what is it? What is it?
It's like
Yeah.
college kids. How college kids are the same as old people, and then like you
Oh,
do this,
no.
and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. So I would do stuff like that. I did stuff for college humor.
When you drew this at the time, were you being like for real, or were you trying to be cheeky?
They wrote it.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't I just illustrated it. Yeah.
Oh, it's just your illustration.
Okay.
Yeah. You think I'd write that? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know who Ian was like 10 years ago.
Ian was a different man.
Plus, when you're just like cranking those out, you start to just come up with anything you can think of
Yeah.
just to fill it.
No, totally. Well, so yeah, so I was doing that, and then actually, I take back my very very first animation experience was I interned at Titmouse, New York. So I had a little bit of I did like I colored stuff on Motor City.
Oh, cool.
And then I colored some stuff. I was just like helping background artists on like a Metalocalypse.
Shit, yeah.
It was like 2011. And then I had a kidney stone while working in the office, and I had to leave.
Oh, that's fun.
And then I was like,
I've had those.
oh yeah, they're worst.
Yeah.
They're great. Yeah, I love them.
Love it.
Yeah, and so then I stopped, and then I ended up getting a bunch of freelance, which was like, it was like the Catch-22, the book.
Animation freelance or illustration?
It was like animation. It was like a
Do you feel it was like thanks to your Titmouse gig that you got?
no.
that?
I got that. Oh yeah, because okay. So before all that, I also worked at Vimeo back in the day.
Man, you've really done a lot.
Yeah, I have a weird career. So I was at Vimeo, but I wasn't an artist or anything. I was just like I like it answered emails, and I knew nothing. I knew nothing about how to format your video. The only reason they kept me around was because I drew their like posters for like events. So they would have these live events, and you go to a bar, and then I would draw the poster. And then later on, they actually let me they like released a new version of their website, and I did the homepage, and it was
Wow.
like in a commercial and shit, and I was like, oh, I made it, man, this is it. Where's my money? And then like nothing happened.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, the money's running out. New York is expensive. Oh, I need health insurance.
Oh my gosh.
So all like the realities of like post-college life hit.
Dude. How long did you stay in New York after you graduated from college? Because dude, New York is so brutal in terms of rent and stuff.
I think we were there 4 years after. So I was there for 4 years for college, and I love New York, but I would never live there again. And then I lived 4 years after, and then I was doing those weird freelance gigs. I worked at Vimeo for a little bit. It was more of like an internship even, because it only lasted so long.
How did you get the internship to Titmouse and Vimeo?
I just cold call emailed people.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm the king of that. I'm like an idiot. I'm like that asshole who will like emails.
No, that's it. Talk about that, because I think that not enough people talk about that. Like that is
I emailed
an option.
Pendleton Ward when he had a website,
dude.
on the first season.
Bueno the Bear website.
Yeah.
I ball.
I did that too at the time when I was still in Gobelin. I emailed him and I was like, "Can I get an internship at Cartoon Network?" He was like, He actually answered. He's super sweet.
Yeah, no, me too. No. So okay.
He actually answered.
He's a nice dude.
So he forwarded my stuff because I sent him my college thesis, which was called Warlord World, and it was like about a space barbarian. I mean, it's goofy, but I had and so then he sent that to Phil Rinda.
Oh yeah, Phil.
Really?
And I got a test, and it was so bad. I have no idea. I had no idea how to draw. I did it all. I like inked it by hand, and scanned the pages because I just didn't know. I didn't have like a Cintiq or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I did this test, and then Phil called me, and he in the nicest way possible, he said, yeah, this sucks. You can't, it's not good. But,
yeah, he'll crush you, but he'll say it in a way that's like, man, you're right.
So I always like to tell the story that Phil Rinda gave me my like first no. And I was like, yeah, but I was like, boy, I'm persistent. I'm going to keep going. You can't stop me.
Good,
So that happened. That was like my first ever, like I got a, like, and it was like season 1 of Adventure Time. So it's like season 2, and I don't know if you guys remember, but it came out on like Nickelodeon in the beginning, and it was like this hugely popular like short.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember too, like when it first came out on YouTube for the first time. I was still in high school actually, and I remember watching it on YouTube, and I was like, "This is the most genius animation I have ever seen." Because at the time I was 16 or 17, I can't remember. But I was just like, at the time I wasn't really into animation anymore. But when I saw the pilot for Adventure Time on YouTube, I was just like, this has to be a show. I know. It's still my favorite it's still my favorite episode of Adventure Time. The pilot is still my favorite.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. I love it so much.
It is very good.
It's so good.
No, I just remember. I remember like it was so funny. I was like cracking up. So like get that opportunity of just cold calling Pendleton Ward. I've never met him besides that. I mean, I don't know him at all, but that was like cool. Like, and then so I mean, to me that every failure is like I'm like, oh, but they gave me a shot. Like, oh, I at least I can, they noticed me. They noticed me, senpai. Maybe there's a chance. So from that, and I did the same thing with Titmouse. I just emailed the producer and I was like, hey, can I get a test? here's my website. And the one thing I always tell everybody, if you're a student or you're trying to get into animation, make stuff all the time.
Yep.
Just make stuff. That's what I did. And I think that's what gave me the little opportunities, they were just like, oh, this guy's seems to be working. That's what I assume. I've never like really like kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
I think you're right though. That's kind of how I see it. too, because I feel like the moment I started getting eyes on my work was because I made a daily practice of drawing for myself and posting online. And yeah, and in Louis' episode also, he was saying how someone gave him this advice: make stuff all the time, and he started posting every day, and that's why his handle is Everyday Louis, because it's just posting all the time.
Yeah.
It works.
It does. It really does. It gets. I just think you start to cultivate your voice, you know, your style, because like, you know, it can take a really long time to like kind of figure out, you know, you're like, oh, what do I want to do and be, and that certainly like will save you time in figuring out what that is, I feel.
Yeah.
And
it's an organic process too.
Yeah. So yeah. I would just hit people up, and sometimes you'd hear something, and then sometimes you wouldn't, you know.
How did you find the email to the Titmouse producer? Like, did you just find it on the website? Where did you find it?
I think so. I think I just went on their website and did like a random email to there, and then I got like, you know, was like CC'd by the producer, and I would like link my, you know, my portfolio, you know, and I'm sure I was annoying, you know, where I was like, you know, sounded desperate, where I'm like, please give me a job. I need to eat. I don't want to get. Did
you say that in the email?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh damn. Oh my god.
I was no. I don't know if I got that desperate, but it was definitely like that tone. I was like, please. But yeah, so they were like, they sent me a test. I took a background test for like Metalocalypse, and didn't get it. But they were like, if you want to come in and just intern, you can. And there was no paperwork. It was just like I just went to their office and I worked. And I like,
really? That's wild.
It was crazy. So they would give me like some scenes. I mean, I hope I'm not like blowing up anybody's spot by telling them this, but yeah. And then I would like color stuff, and then I would just work on my own shit. And so that was like one of my first like experiences with like a Cintiq. So I could just go and use Doodle on their equipment. And at the time, I was interning with a who's like now one of my really good friends. His name's Pat Kane. He's he works on Pickle and Peanut as a character designer, but he was working there, and we became friends because we both realized we were like both really nice, and we're like, you're from Ohio, you're from the Midwest. No one says sorry that much, and then we're like, oh yeah. And then
the Midwest,
the weird Midwest, like, oh, hi, sorry, how's it going? And so, from meeting him, he went back to Columbus because he was an intern as well, but he graduated. I think he went back to graduate, but then he started working at this startup that was a T-shirt company, but he was doing animation. So I was telling, I mentioned earlier, I was like, oh no, I'm dying. I can't live in New York anymore. It's so expensive, and I'm not making any money, and and I need health insurance because my body's falling apart.
How old were you when your body started falling apart?
I was 27. I've always had like I've had a back of a 90-year-old man since I was like 20 years old.
Oh shit.
I don't know. I was just blessed. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's cool. I'm ripped now. It's all good. No.
Yeah. Oh, you guys can talk about working out later.
Oh yeah, working out. Man, that's a key. If you want to maintain an animation career, work out. Because...
Yeah, that's why I started getting shredded. It was like either this or I fall apart before I hit 30.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with like me like being vain. It's just I don't want my body to fall apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was working there, and we had been friends. I used to go to like SPX and comic shows a lot with friends, and those were super. That's a great like.
Where's that one again?
SPX is in Maryland.
It's Maryland.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
Bethesda, Maryland. It's so fun.
I've never been to one of those in the.
Oh, you should go. I mean, I haven't been in a while, but yeah, I've been to like I used to go all the time when I lived in New York because it's only like 4 hours on a bus.
Oh, cool.
But I hung out with him a couple times there, and then he was like, "Oh, we're doing this startup at this T-shirt company," and he's like, "Yeah, man, and we can do like animation on the side." And I was like, "Well, I can go there, I can get health insurance, and I can like design T-shirts. How hard is that?" and then
Right.
I can just hang there, save up some money, and then maybe try to go out to California or wherever. I don't know. I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Was that like a thought in your head, maybe like when you were in New York and then at the t-shirt company, were those like things that you were like thinking about in the back burner, or like
Well,
not at all?
Well, once when I got the test, I always wanted to work in animation after getting those tests because it seemed like a possibility.
Okay. In terms of like making a living, or
Yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of,
yeah.
like,
And I was like, okay, I just need the right opportunity. So when I went to so basically we went to I moved back to Columbus, Ohio, and because I'm from Ohio, and I worked at this t-shirt company, and my buddy Pat and I we kind of tricked the owners into thinking like, oh, we can do this like cool animation thing. It'll like get people excited about t-shirts. And it kind of did because it got we got hit up by Kevin Lee
oh yeah, Kevin Lee's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. Okay.
when he was like trying to find like creative talent at Nickelodeon.
Mhm.
He hit us up because he had seen some of our weird cartoons we were making in Columbus, and it was like, hey, do you want to pitch to our shorts program? And so that right there was like, okay, I have to like try to go to Los Angeles at some point.
What year was that?
That was 2014.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay,
right.
yeah, that's around the time that I was scouted by them too. So we were kind of bouncing around in the same, because I like when you said Kevin Lee and Nickelodeon, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's about when I first
Yeah.
kind of met him.
Yeah, I remember I was talking to him too for like shorts program. I actually pitched
Yeah.
him an idea. Like I the first time I ever got in contact with Kevin was when he was working in development at Nickelodeon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. No, he's
Kevin's cool.
awesome. I love Kevin. I always thank him.
He's like, have you guys seen his pilot Fuzzball?
Yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
good.
I know. It's like
Talented guy.
just make that stuff, people. You got gold.
Just do it.
But he was really cool. So we pitched them. It didn't get made, but one of our friends pitched. Who's out of that? Tara Helfer.
Sure.
They pitched a cartoon and it got made. It was awesome. So
Nice.
Wow. Yeah.
there's a lot of like super talented folks, in that weird animation like Columbus area. So, but yeah, so then I worked there for a couple of years. I got let go because the t-shirt company was like, why do we have an animation department?
Yeah, that is a very
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. I was like, did the animation department actually help the t-shirts, or did it only just
Well,
help?
I mean both. Because we're just kind of trying to figure out what we wanted it to be. Like, I mean, I think if we had stuck with it, it probably could have blown up and been really cool, and like, because we had a couple really big hits.
When you say hits, you mean on like social media?
Oh yeah, social media, yeah. Like this was like in 2015, 16, so it was like that around that election, and we did this like Bernie Sanders One Punch Man parody.
Fuck yeah.
That like
I think I remember that.
did okay. It was like the best thing we, in terms of like numbers.
Sure.
And then we developed like for like we would develop cartoons for like their different brands. So one was like called Time Eagle Freedom Defender. And it was about a time traveling eagle man, which is still online. It's insane.
Mhm.
I don't know how they let us do this, but it was like it was super stressful, but it was also like we were just like, we didn't know what to do. It was like two of us. It was just Pat and me, so we're just like figuring it out ourselves. We were like, I don't know, maybe this is how shows run.
When you say it was stressful, what was stressful about it?
It was just, we had a pretty tight deadline. We released an episode every week,
Oh, really?
and well, because we just didn't know. We didn't, we were just like, and I got sick. I got like the flu. Good stuff. I think, I just think it was just like a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves, perhaps.
Okay, so not the company, but you guys were just like, oh, we really have to keep the schedule and we have to have this quality, and you were just kind of like...
But I also think we were doing that because we were trying to like prove our worth to,
Oh yeah.
the heads of the departments, because everybody was kind of like, why is there an animation department? And but we're like, oh, we're like, how BuzzFeed sometimes has like animated shorts, it's kind of like that, and it looked cool to like investors because they were like constantly like trying to like sell the company, so they like bring over like a billionaire, and they like, and look at these guys, and then and they'd walk into our tiny office, and it probably smelled like disgusting farts, and they were like, oh wow, cool, this is neat, and then they quickly leave because
it's like a long con, just like
yeah, it's just a long con, and you know what, fake it till you make it, folks.
Hey, that's true.
That is very true.
Just freaking act like you know what you're doing, and then eventually you'll have to.
Yeah, we've definitely said that before on this podcast.
I mean, it's cliche, but it works for like a reason, and so I was working there, and then I had saved up enough money, and then I was like, all right, my girlfriend Emily was like, let's just go to LA, let's just do it, like, you're getting jobs. I was starting to get hit up by people. I mean, Instagram honestly like has given me my career at this point.
Yeah.
Like I just started putting artwork on there, and I would post, at least once a week, if not 3 times a week. I started getting direct messages from people who worked in the animation industry that would start following me. And so
that's a lot of updating. That's a really good schedule.
Yeah, I feel like honestly 3 times a week. Well, at the time, because now the algorithm's all messed up. But at the
that's
time,
crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
So yeah, and also I got let go from my job, so I was just like desperately trying to get something, so I didn't have to work in retail again.
Oh, when did you work in retail?
High school.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sure. The right time, yeah.
Yeah.
And then up until I left, I think my last job before I moved to New York was DSW Shoes. And I was like, this job makes me want to die.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that like? That seems like an awful retail experience.
I would rather. I think if there's a hell, it's the clearance aisle of DSW shoes. God. It is just like, it's never ending. I can imagine. It's like you clean up a section, and then you come back a minute later, and it's totally messed up, and you're just like, did a pack of bears like just destroy this?
That's what it feels like. I worked at Marshall's for 6 months, and thankfully.
How old were you when? Like, what was that?
Probably like high school. I was like 17, but I was a cashier. For most of that. For the first 3 months, I was a cashier, but I would still, like, at the end of the day, they would make everyone pick up so we could get out of there faster. Oh. And yeah, man, shoes is by far the worst. It really did feel like a pack of bears. It's like people would just go up and like grab shit, maybe not even try it on, just like throw it across the store, and then like they would be like, hey everyone, like, go pick up shoes, you have to find the right pairs and put them back on the shelf. And it's like, this sucks.
Yeah. Oh man, I got yelled at by like the meanest old ladies because
they're vile.
They're like, did you properly check the size of these shoes? And I'd be like,
man,
yes, I don't know, I don't want to be here.
But
they did have a really badass like conveyor belt that went up to the second floor. So sometimes I'd try and ride it, and that was fun.
Oh hell yeah!
You got to make your own. Yeah, I worked at some shitty retail jobs, but it made me appreciate the cool ones later for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone should work retail.
Oh, you gotta see the work. It gives you nice
or waiting.
Yeah,
because like I feel like
some kind of customer facing thing, because man, you really realize how awful people are.
It's so weird though, because I didn't do a lot of these jobs. I only did like one. I was helping this one like hot dog stand right when there was like a big soccer event in Paris, and so it was just a couple hours. When you're a girl, there's so many guys who try to flirt with you, even though you're trying to just sell them hot dogs. It's like,
yeah, but that's just phallic, V. No, that's just a bad combination of things.
It's like, I'm literally out here just, not trying.
Perverts love a girl handing them a hot dog.
Just throw hot dogs at their face.
That's throw hot dogs.
There you go.
You got the perfect tool for.
You're like, close your eyes, and you just whip a hot dog.
Yeah. Oh man. What is that, a hot dog?
Yeah, retail, man. It's an experience. But yeah, when I came out to LA, we came out on a whim, had no job, and I just started to the grindstone, just posting stuff, and then I eventually again Instagram. I've gotten like almost every single job from Instagram, so that's how I got Thundercats.
Oh yeah,
Was because Victor, the showrunner, he saw my stuff, and I got a meeting, and they were super cool, and the thing is like I'm mainly posting like illustration and stuff, color stuff on my on my Instagram. So I don't think people quite know what to do with me when they first meet me. They're like, what do you want to do?
Oh yeah, sure.
at the time, right? Because now you're posting a lot of boards. Like I've seen you post a lot of little animations slash boards.
I see a lot of animations.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean that's so yeah. He was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I want to get in this. I want to storyboard, because like my idea was like, oh, I want to like, I pitched a couple times, I pitched that thing to Kevin. And then I pitched, I pitched to Phil. That was like my next encounter with Phil Rinda. Was I pitched him it was like a mech show.
Oh hell yeah!
Because they were like,
you and me were doing this around the same time. Like it's funny, like we never overlapped until now because we actually just met. Before, the beginning of this, but like if that was around 2014. Yeah, we were like dancing around each other.
Yeah. No, I pitched like this, like, it's like a school, but it's also a mech show. It's like Evangelion, but nice, wholesome. No.
Oh, that sounds so good. I want to work on that.
But it didn't happen. That was my second no from Phil Rinda. Let me hear this, Phil. I'm just kidding. And then, but yeah, so I got that. Sorry, I got off track.
You were talking about Instagram and how it got you jobs, and that people didn't really know.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I always found it seemed like if you want to make your own shows, the story was the way to go. That's kind of like what I heard. Like execs kind of take you more seriously if you understand story and
if you're a writer or a board artist.
Unfortunately,
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, well. So I was like, yeah, I want to do storyboards, but I'd never done any storyboarding before that. So I sent them like an animation reel. I like taught myself to animate, and then from that reel, they were like, oh, do you want to do revisions on Thundercats? So that
you actually took a test, because I remember seeing your test, and I was like, wow, it's awesome. Like, Jeremy was a big fan of your test.
Yo, God.
Yeah.
No. It was cool. No, I was It was I remember seeing that stuff and being just like blown away by like Victor's stuff, and it was like, oh man, so this is like how hard they're going on this show. All right, we gotta put all our best foot forward.
Yeah, Victor, I remember I knew of Victor because I helped out with the layouts of a short for OKKO. It's the one about Rad, and Victor did the boards for this short. And I remember at the time, the first time I saw the boards, I was like, wow, in America, you don't really have to clean up. But then I didn't realize how like posed out it was. It was basically animated, the whole thing. So that was like my first encounter with like Victor's work.
You're like,
and then I was roommates with Kevin Bailey,
who
worked on Pickle and Peanut. And he kind of like told me about Victor. He was like, yeah, Victor is this amazing board artist. So like I kind of looked him up on Tumblr. And then Victor started posting these like little snippets of his boards. They're basically animated with like crazy cameras. Like that's his style. He does crazy camera moves with like huge, like he does these kind of like Michael Bay cartoony.
Yeah. I mean,
that's basically his style.
Totally.
Like, huge, crazy, spectacular things happening in a very cartoony style.
That was like really like school for me. Like kind of like figuring out with Thundercats is like, it was like, oh, okay, like these are like the tricks. Like these are the things that are important. These are the things that help you tell a story. Like I learned a lot on Thundercats, and I always remember it fondly. Also, we made a ton of friends. I met you, V. And we're best friends ever since.
Yep.
Best of friends.
And the rest of the crazy kids. I eventually got promoted.
Yeah, Megan Boyd, who was on the show before, like on our podcast, she was on.
Megan Boyd, yeah.
Yep.
Megan Boyd's good friend, best friend. I'm her best friend. I don't know if she told you that.
Only you, not me, I guess.
She mentioned it. Yeah.
I'm everybody's best friend. I don't know if you, Gene.
We cut it out of the episode.
Yeah.
he was very petty about it. She's like, no, we're gonna cut that out.
No.
But yeah, eventually I got bumped up to board artist, and V and I were board partners for a while.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, and then V left because she hates me.
Abandoned. The word you're looking for is abandoned.
I'm sorry, okay.
It's
Well,
okay.
I literally remember that was like a crazy time because someone reached out to me to work on Spider-Verse 2. And I was like, whoa. And I was still on Thundercats at the time, still doing boards. And it's crazy because a couple days before, I remember being in the office with Victor, the showrunner, Marley, who's the producer, what's his name? Head writer, line producer, executive.
The executive producer.
Yeah, he was an executive producer, and we were all talking in the office about how we don't really want to work into feature. Feature is kind of like whatever. I was like, and then we were like kind of like thinking about like studios, and then I said maybe DreamWorks, because DreamWorks seems like kind of like silly and doesn't take themselves seriously. And then like Marley was like, oh, maybe Sony. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess maybe Sony. And then like Sony reached out. Whoa.
Sorry.
You brought it into the universe, yeah.
Yeah. No, so after Thundercats ended that season, I got a boarding gig on Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh yeah, where was that again? I forgot which
that was at Titmouse.
Nice.
And that was another like super fun, but also like kind of stressful, like because it was so different from Thundercats. The way it was like more prime timey boarding style, which it was like a new experience. It was like a new set of skills I had to learn.
Right.
But again, like the people on that show were so good, and so it was just like, again, it was like going to school. It was like, okay, right. I'm just learning a crap ton from these people, right. and my board team and my director Barry, who I'm sorry, I remember like sitting on his couch having like, hey folks, here's some real talk. Sometimes when you're on a show, you're like, what am I doing here? How did I get here? Real. And then your director is your psychiatrist.
Yeah, it becomes your therapist.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, they're your therapist, and they're like, no, you're good, man. You're in your head. You're fine.
Come on, buddy, chin up.
And then they, a good director is also a good therapist. So thanks, Barry, and thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel like Jeremy, I had like a couple moments like that with him too, where I was like so fucking stressed out and crying. And like, yes, it was like, yeah, just sleep on the couch. He was like, just sleep here.
Yeah, it's okay. Just chill out. Yeah, no, seriously, it's like.
Yeah, that's so great.
Dude, Thundercats, the first weeks were so insane. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. Do you remember how I came back from a party and then I had to go to work and I had so much work to do and I was
my god,
so hungover. And then I realized now, looking back, like you guys must have thought I was some kind of psycho because I just come into work like completely drunk, and then I had to go throw up in the toilet.
Oh man, good times. I did the same. So yeah, like a good director is a good therapist. So, but yeah, learning from that. So. And then I got hit up by Chris Garbutt and Ricky Asbjorn to work on. Mm-hmm. At the time, it was secret, but it's We Lost Our Human.
Yeah.
To work on that show, which is really cool because it was a new interactive show, and it was like, whoa, how is this gonna work? You have to board something like 20 million times, like for each like different decision, like what's going on. So that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, seems really neat.
And those guys are great, and that team was great. Again, the fun part about what I've noticed working in animation is like each new crew you kind of get to work with, you just add to your Rolodex of skills because everybody's so talented
Yeah.
and funny, you know, and like you just learn new stuff, and you know, you just, if you are open to it, you can, you know, apply that stuff to your stuff and become a better board artist. So if that's what you want. But trying to think. And then I did a couple more secret Netflix projects.
Oh yeah, they're not announced yet, right?
They're not announced yet. I can't talk about them.
I heard that one of your secret Netflix project, the animation came back and looks really good.
Really? I'm so excited. And then after that, oh, and now I'm currently boarding on Gindy's, Tardakasi's new show.
Oh man, fuck yeah! I'm very jealous.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't talk about that one, but it's been announced, and I'm boarding on it.
Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and again, I'm just like, how the, you know, I don't question it. I'm just like, here, I'm just gonna go with it.
I feel
I'm
like
working.
you're at the point though now. Like I feel like, well, wait. So when was Thundercats? That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like in 3 years your work has, like your storyboard work at least, because like you've always been like super good at illustration, but like your storyboard work has really matured because you didn't do a whole lot before, and now you're doing it all the time. So you're kind of like at that level now where, yeah, like the stuff you put out is friggin' amazing, and you're also a really good animator, which is,
Oh, thanks.
you know, like
Yeah.
board artists are not always good at animating, but like if you're a board artist who can also animate, that's really a really strong profile.
Oh, thanks. No, I think you know, I V and I talk about this stuff all the time, but I think once I know this is weird. I think one thing that can help people, and what helped me with like learning a new skill, is I started hiking.
Oh yeah.
In LA. I, you know, because they have that there, and that forward momentum, I think it helps your brain or something, man, and like creates new pathways, because
I can see it.
there's just something about the physical activity, and yeah, I don't know if I attribute that to like being able to learn to board, because it is a different skill. It's kind of like making comics. It's not really like making comics. It's kind of like animation. It's like a whole, it's weird.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between.
It's something that I
between.
think a lot about. Like, I actually drew a small comic about the differences between storyboarding and making comics. They're very similar, but they're also very different, because comics, you can change the frame, and like there's so many things to go into, and also you can be a lot more elliptical. I remember actually, like, I think the reason why I could start doing storyboards, even though in Gobelin we didn't learn that much about storyboards, is because I read so many comics, so much manga. I was reading manga and comics all the time.
Same.
And I feel like, especially manga, maybe a little bit less comics, but especially manga is the closest to what you could find into storyboarding, because since they have to put out like these chapters every week, they're a little bit more real time than like French or American comics, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally. They know how to be economical, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What kind of stuff? Let's segue into that then. What kind of stuff do you feel like is your biggest influences on your work?
Oh man, what is my? I mean, comics. I read comics before I was like into animation, so that was like a big influence. Like next to me, I have Devilman
Hell yeah!
by Go Nagai.
That manga is so weird, and like,
it's so weird. I love how weird it is.
It's not. Yeah, it is very weird.
I've got Tezuka. This is like all my reference material. I have this like. Oh, right here I got Mutant World by Richard Corbin. I don't know if you know the artist Richard Corbin, but he does these like crazy, super detailed, muscular dudes, and they're like, I mean, he's just like a master artist, but yeah, I mean, I was really influenced by like manga growing. I mean, I still am. I think, you know, I still read comics and stuff. Films. You know, just growing up, kind of the language of filmmaking and how to tell stories cinematically, you know.
Right.
more referencing different shots from my favorite movies.
What are some of your favorite movies? You don't have to say just one, but what are some of them?
Let's see. The Big Lebowski is one of my faves.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Ghostbusters is one of my favorite. I think that's one of my favorite movies. I said Aliens earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I say Aliens. I love Alien, but Aliens was the first one I saw as a kid, so that was like my frame of reference for that. So that was. I mean, these are so. What's a cool one? What makes me sound cool? I like El Topo. I don't know.
I don't know what El Topo is.
By Jodorowsky. He's like
oh, we might have heard of it.
Artsy. Yeah, and then one of my favorite animated films is Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when I saw it on VHS as a child, it was the first release, and it was called Warriors of the Wind, and they redubbed it and everything.
Oh yeah.
So it was like it wasn't like, I just thought, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what anime was. I was just like, what is this amazing cartoon that feels like a movie? It doesn't feel like for kids. It feels like a movie,
Mm-hmm.
And so that was huge influence. Also, that comic, the manga of Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, is like if you haven't read it,
the manga is insane.
One of the best comics ever written.
Yeah. Not only is it like the story is really good, but the art is insane.
Yeah.
It's just like I still don't know. Was he drawing this as he was working in animation? Was he doing both at the same time?
I think so.
Gosh.
I think they were like,
oh my God.
in order to get this movie greenlit, which is what he wanted to do, you have to, the things that are selling are properties based on comics or manga.
Yeah.
And so he was like, okay, I'll make it. I'll make it a comic.
That's why he's a legend, I guess. He just does shit.
And it's like one of the, I mean, I literally cried in that manga,
Really? Wow. Shit, I gotta check it
Yeah,
out.
the manga I like a lot more.
It's like, it's that powerful, man.
Yeah, I like a lot more than the movie, just because the movie is only like the first book.
Yeah. And it ends so beautifully. It's like to me, like, I love the ending of that series. And,
interesting. Yeah, I gotta check it out.
Highly recommended. And I like Robert Valley. I think he's just
I can definitely see that influence. I was gonna say there's a lot of that like
an insane
mid '90s stuff that seems to be a big influence on you.
I like stuff with texture that feel, so I'm like a huge fan of like, 90s anime, that stuff that came out during that time, or even definitely. 80s, and because I just like things, and I try to do that like with my own work, if I ever get the opportunity to pitch something, that gets made, it's like I want that hand drawn quality, that feels, so that a human hand touched it. I like little inconsistencies. I like things being dirty.
Honestly, that's why we got so lucky to work on Thundercats.
Yes.
No matter what people said, like I love the way it looks and the way that like the characters, like the model is not like exactly the same from a shot to another. I think the show looks so good.
Yeah. I like it when like you can tell it's a V shot.
Sure can.
And I like it when or it's a Katie shot or an Ian shot.
Yeah. I mean, we can tell because we looked at each other's boards so many times.
Yeah. So that stuff is like,
it's really like
So texture, and I don't know if that's for because I guess we all started drawing traditionally, but at SVA it was like really emphasized that before digital was around obviously, but it was like learn to draw, learn to paint first, and then you can apply that stuff to your and there's no like right path, but I think that influence is why I like kind of texture in my animation and in my personal work, and and stuff I respond to.
Comes across. Yeah, there's a lot of life in everything you do.
Oh, thanks.
There's a lot of like, no, it's. I think that like your influences definitely come across in a really good way. Like it feels old school and like nostalgic in a nice way.
Yeah, I think it's the goal is to take all that stuff and grind it up and and then make it yours, because it's like we're all gonna draw, there's no like real new ideas anymore.
No, not really.
But if we can take little bits and pieces and then infuse a little bit of ourselves in it, then hopefully it becomes something new,
I bet that the people who we look up to probably said the same shit 40 years ago, though. It's just like, well, there's nothing new.
I know.
But they weren't on YouTube like us.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You see this? Look, I'm drawing a guy right now. He's got 2 eyeballs.
What?
And he's happy. Just kidding. He's sad. Oh, my
God.
No. Real
Man, you really got me. Shit.
Look at that.
Wow.
He's got a goatee. It's because he actually has a beard.
Oh, man, I love art. I love expression.
See, that's what you can do with art, kids.
Wow, look at that. On the fly.
He's bald.
Looks like me.
But yeah.
Is there like more influence you want to talk about, or do you want to like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's I kind of covered it. I mean, I was trying to avoid getting like too specific because I don't always know, because that's kind of the thing. It's like it's interesting. It's like I'll always know what people see in what I do, and I don't know if that's the same for you guys, but I'm always curious to see like what pops out.
Right.
It's kind of like when you see someone like a friend and you're like, oh, you really look like this actor, and they're like, and then another friend's like, I don't see it at all, and you're like, oh, because you're really focused on my eyes, like, or you're really focused on the ears, like I see. So everybody like sort of brings their life experience and baggage or whatever. Not baggage sounds bad, but like their own stuff to a piece of art.
Biases, I guess. Biases,
that's better. And so it's interesting to see what about my work kind of clicks for people. So because I'm not always like, I'm not necessarily channeling anything. I'm kind of just like, see the image and I'm like, this feels good. Mm-hmm. It's all in the feeling.
Would you ever want to do comics given the chance?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like professionally? Because it seems like some like that Weapon X Wolverine I was like that you did. I was like, damn, that's like, I want to see you do Marvel shit, because I feel like it would have an energy.
That'd be dope.
That like they don't usually. It's also stiff. Usually that like I would love to see more. Didn't Gendy do? He did a what's his name? He did a comic for
Luke Cage.
Yeah, Luke Cage. God, I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
Luke Cage.
No,
it was awesome. Because it was so expressive.
Yeah, I have that comic. It's so good.
Yeah. I could see you doing something like that.
I would, dude. If I had the opportunity, I would love to.
Right. If Marvel just comes a knocking,
like, come on,
you're not gonna say no.
Or even just like, I don't know, like even just like drawing your own stuff. Like I think like
I have a plan. That's my 2021.
Yeah, it's like
little goal.
Working in animation is like super great, and like you learn so much, and you meet all these like awesome people, and you make money. So that's like awesome.
Money's nice.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I kind of wanna get the chance to tell my own story, or like to be like more creatively
fulfilled.
Yeah,
very
like,
tricky balance.
Not in control, but like at least have like the creative reins of the work that you're putting out, because like sometimes you get lucky and you're really in line with the show that you got hired on, and then that feels really great. For me, that was the case on Thundercats. That was the show that I worked on that was the closest to my personal sensibilities.
Yeah.
But then most other shows you work on, it's like you're just working on the show. You're like
a hand.
Yeah, you're bringing all the talent, like the draftsmanship, but most of the time, like creatively, you can only bring like probably like 5 or 10%.
Totally.
So like making a comic would be like, yeah, I can't go 100%. Like that's the dream.
Yeah, no, totally. I have an idea for a comic that I want to like. Because I want to publish. I like holding a book in my hand. So I mean, that's like one of my goals in life, is to like have a comic that I can just like, oh hey, look, I did this, and then
it's a really nice feeling.
So that's like, yeah, totally. But that's the like the interesting about sometimes you get a gig, and you're like, this is a job. You're like, I can really feel the job aspect of it. and then
Mhm.
sometimes you're like, yeah, you gel with it, and you're like, I like everything we're doing, and it's awesome, and
Mhm.
but I feel like, I don't know if those. I mean, I've been lucky. I really like everything I've worked on so far. Everything comes with its own hardships, of course.
Definitely.
I think because I don't know if you guys know this, making stuff is really hard.
Yup.
Just like the act
It's
of
kind of exhausting.
like making stuff in general is hard. Making something that's good, that's like so hard. So
Yeah.
I mean, just like give props to people that even like can like get something made sometime. I'm always
Yeah.
impressed. I mean, the reality is, who knows what goes on in a project.
How do you might be a good time to bring that up. So like how do you get over creative block when you're stuck in a rut and you don't know
And like
what to
also,
work on?
how does it feel for you to be in the creative block?
Yeah.
It sucks for sure. Usually if I'm in a creative block, to me it stems from, I don't know, I get this like artist self-doubt, this sort of imposter syndrome where I'm like, everything, it's like, I don't know, I just like look at old work and I see it through this like weird lens, and I'm like, this sucks, like you haven't grown. But then usually I realize it's because I'm like sad about something else.
Oh yeah.
So here's another key, therapy, kids.
Yeah.
Figure out your issues. But usually what I'll do is I will look at stuff that inspired me to even like start drawing, right? So I'll look at a comic, or I'll look at or watch a movie. I'll look at artists I like. Maybe I'll scroll through Instagram and be like, oh, that's cool. That's an interesting, and that usually that can bring me out of it. Or I'll kind of like, I mean, I keep like a notepad of just like ideas, and I'll start to like sketch out like, oh, I had this weird idea, like for a story. But I have, but I haven't really had time to dedicate to it. Maybe I'll just start sketching it, and then from there it's usually somehow magically turns into something interesting. So I kind of trust the process of doodling and messing around until and if it doesn't happen, it's fine. Like I've kind of learned that like learning hurts. Learning is painful.
Yep.
It's not this like process where you immediately. It's great when like a drawing clicks and it's awesome. Like I have an idea right now that I'm kind of like fiddling around with, where I want to like incorporate photos into animation. Okay. And I did some experiments and they all suck. And I'm like, but I know not to abandon the idea, because I know that initial like excitement I got, that means it's worth it. I'm like, there's a good idea. It's a good idea. You just haven't gotten there yet. So as long as I keep fiddling with it, I'm messing around, it'll eventually sort of click, and it'll be something that I'm happy with, I'm satisfied with. But but that's, if you talked to me 10 years ago, I would have just given up. It took me a while to learn to like trust that process, and that it's not going to feel good the whole time.
Yeah, it takes time.
Honestly, it's very true. I feel like, honestly, I always draw a parallel between like working out, like physical exercise, and drawing, because I remember when I showed my portfolio to this person who said, like, you call those animal drawings, you need to go back to the zoo and draw more. Whoa. And then I was like, okay, so I went like every weekend to do that. And the first time, like the first 2 weekends I did that, it was the worst. Like every single drawing I drew, I was like, this fucking sucks. It's like, it looks terrible. Every line is bad. I cannot, like, these animals won't stop, like, just moving. This is not working.
Stop moving, apes.
Stop moving, fucking monkeys. But it's like, it was the worst. It was really hard. And then after a while, like, there's like this one moment when like you build the muscle memory, you build the the visual memory, I guess, and like your hand. Is
Yeah. No, it's like a physical aspect, you know? It's like you're
Yeah.
building a muscle. I mean, I think everything is sort of similar to like exercise. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like
it's muscle memory.
paying your bills is like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want to deal with this like financial crap right now, but it's like, you know, it's just not going to feel good. You just have to do it. You just have to start. And then once you start, it starts to click. And then you're like, oh, it's not that hard. And then you always are like, why did I take so long? You know, why did I psych myself out?
Yeah, I kind of try to follow this creed of like fail fast. Just because it's like the sooner that you screw up, you know, you've learned and then you can move on. It's the worst is when things take too long to fall apart and you're just like that's how developing is. Because you're just like waiting for it all to crumble. You know, there's a good chance it's not gonna happen and you're like, God, I just wish I want to learn something from this already. I'm tired of this like flux.
No, totally. No, it's not easy. It takes time. It can, you know, I know it's crazy, but yeah, so that's my how I try to get out of it. I just, you know, I just know that somehow I will. I don't always, it doesn't feel like I will, but I know that I will.
Yeah, you gotta trust that you've done it before.
Also, sometimes it's like you just gotta get all the bad drawings out or like all the bad ideas out. That's kind of like one thing. Like that's my new motto these days. Is like as I'm trying to draw my comics every day, and I'm like, what's gonna be the dialogue for this character? And I only have the most terrible sentences, and I'm like, no one wants to read this. This is so bland and gives no information and no character. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just write it down. I'll just like puke it out of my brain and then to leave the room for like something new to come in. I feel like drawings is the same. Just get all the bad drawings out of your body and.
Yeah. No, one thing I mean, I did, you know, I do is when I can is I'll get to a point where I'm like, this sucks. I can't do it. I can't, you know, I'm tapped. And then I'll just go on a walk. And then that process of forward momentum, I'm just like, ideas just pop in, you know? It's like, you're subconsciously like.
You get your blood moving. Yeah.
You're like a sponge. Yeah. And, you know, and it's like your blood's flowing. It's going to your brain. And then you're like, oh, okay. Because like when we're drawing, we're just like scrunched up. And we're like, you know, and it's like sitting is like the worst position for human bodies, apparently.
Yeah.
A good thing we made like entire careers out of it, but
entire lives.
But yeah, once I kind of get out of that process of drawing and start moving, that also has helped me in the past to get out. So being a little more physical and whatnot.
Yeah, go outside, kids.
Honestly, I do think Miyazaki is still so productive and in such good health because he does those like little exercises, you know. Like, have you seen the documentaries where he's just like?
I think it's just like
they have like this radio program.
Yeah, that's just all Japanese people. They just do that every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like multiple times a day, and I'm like, oh, that's why he's got such a good posture. Because when you look at the documentaries, his back is like really straight, and I'm like, wow, how is he not hunched over?
Yeah, he sits he sits crazy. It's like so proper.
Yeah.
This little apron.
He's probably got 6-pack abs.
Oh, he's ripped.
And and he still like smokes like he smokes like cigarettes all the time, and
his lungs are in terrible condition probably. They're like rotting from the inside, but his posture is great. So, like, what kind of goals do you have? You mentioned it a little bit, but what kind of stuff do you want to do going forward? Because, like, you mentioned this year you want to do something of your own. What else is there?
Yeah, I'm working on some pitches.
Nice.
I've pitched a couple times so far. No dice.
Yeah, well,
which is fine. It's that's again a part of the process. It's like learning to be like, okay. Usually the pitches they go okay. I mean, I don't know. They're never. I never feel like they didn't get it. It's usually just like, oh, this doesn't fit within our schedule. And I'm like,
yeah. There's all kinds of reasons.
So I got some pitches I'm working on. I want to work on a comic. I want to get into directing, which is like one goal. And yeah, maybe buy a house or something. Maybe I can't do that in LA, but we'll see.
Why not?
That'd be nice. Go on a vacation to Japan. I've never been to Japan.
You've never been? Wow. Yeah, you gotta go.
I gotta go.
Once we can, I guess.
Yeah, I know, right? That's like, ugh. I know. I'm sad.
I want to go back.
But you went
So
to Iceland though. I remember that
been to
part.
Iceland.
Oh, I want to go to
And
Iceland.
you almost died in a stream.
No, that was New Zealand.
That was New Zealand? I
Oh
thought that
yeah.
was in Iceland.
No, in New Zealand I almost died by falling, and then in Iceland I hurt my knee. But I like going hiking. We do these. They're like you hike from hut to hut, and then but then in between huts it's like 15 miles. So you're like,
Jesus.
You're like, ooh, this is fun, but really hard and scary. But it was awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
No kidding.
If you guys like hiking, I highly recommend it because you see views that, people don't normally get to see. It's especially
Right.
in New Zealand. I mean, both are Iceland and New Zealand are amazing. I want to do. There's hut hiking in Japan that I want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I really want to go back to Japan just for hiking because hiking in Japan is so great. Like it's so well maintained.
Yeah, it's nice. I went to there's like a snow monkey hot springs, and it was like a 45-minute hike. That was like a baby hike. This isn't like what you're describing, but it was enough for me to be like, oof, I'm tired.
my knees.
I don't like hikes though. I can't stand.
Yeah. Well, I can't stand camping, so
Yeah, I couldn't do that either.
sleeping on the ground always hurts my back. So because I have a back of a 90-year-old man, just cue me.
It's kind of really sad.
I don't want to be alive anymore. But yeah, so those are my goals. For animation, try to pitch a show, see if we can get something made.
Those are good goals.
Make a comic and just keep working as long as I can. So, as long as they'll let me. As long as I can keep tricking people into hiring me.
I feel like so many people want to hire you though. Like on my show, they really wanted you. I wanted you to be on my team.
That would have been fun. I
Yeah,
know.
that would have been fun.
Next time.
Next
Well, if either of us make a show, or
yeah.
we should hire each other.
Sense. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I gotta get back into finishing my pitch Bible. I feel like I don't know for you guys, but I feel like I'm always like just chasing the next best idea, and then once I've had the idea and I drew it a little bit,
You're like satisfied.
I'm like, I'm satisfied.
yeah,
I'm like, time to move on, and I like.
It's exhausting to like stay excited about something when you know
it's really hard.
all the technical shit you're gonna have to go through. It's like
I was gonna say, Gene, you like pitched an idea that like went to final, right? Like Planet. Well, you got the short.
It's still nothing solid, but it's I did.
So
And,
I'm sure. Was that process stressful, interesting? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's mostly stressful.
Was it a learning experience?
It is
I learned what I don't want to do. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's a pain. It's a painful process, but it is. It's just you got to know what you're getting into and like be prepared for the worst, and at least then you won't be blindsided by stuff like that's. The further you get, the more. When we talk about we talked to Brandon Hong about it, and he describes it really well. That it's like trying to get stuff pushed through is like a stack of slices of Swiss cheese, and they're all spinning at different rates, and you're trying to drop a pencil through all the holes and have it land. And so it's like a series of lottery wins, and as long as you know that like it's entirely up to the universe, like there's not at a certain point you can't control much. So it's like as long as you have the right attitude going in. I think was maybe too optimistic. I mean, nothing's set in stone yet, and development's such a weird amorphous thing, but it's like yeah, you gotta just take each step. A good piece of advice somebody once gave me is that like you gotta treat each step as if it's just that step. Like you're not trying to get a show made, you're just trying to get your pitch Bible read, and then you're trying to get it into development, and then you're trying to get this, and it's like they're very different schools of thought and very different goals. But if you're always focused on like I'm going to get a show, if you're only thinking about that, then all those steps along the way are going to be way, way, way harder.
Totally.
I feel like this is kind of like the takeaway from the Bhagavad Gita. It's like, it's not the destination, it's the journey.
It is.
Yeah.
You have to be always in that, it's kind of hard to describe, but yeah, you have to be in the action. You always have to be in the action, and you never can wait you can never expect anything out of the outcome.
Yeah.
You can only expect the action in itself, not the outcome.
That's just good life advice.
That is good life.
Live.
Live in the moment, kids. Go outside, drink water.
Drink lots of water.
Drink lots of water.
You don't want kidney stones like Gene and I had.
Oh man, painful. You really don't.
I swear to God, this is like one of the things I'm the most worried about because I heard that it's one of the worst pain that you can.
It passes. It's like I'm sure there's worse pains, but it's your urethra. You know, like nobody wants to be pissing stones, little micro stones through.
Oh yeah, little shards of glass.
Little shards. It sucks.
I mean, what I noticed, like for me, it wasn't even the. I don't know how graphic I can get, but let's just do it.
It's piss talk. Here we go.
Hey world, you want to know about my kidney stone? It wasn't even the. It was when it was traveling from my kidney to my bladder.
That's what I heard. Is like it's when it's like in your back.
Yeah, it felt like I was like being stabbed, and then the peeing part was like it was painful, but that was like to me the least painful part.
Yeah, all it takes is like one scratch. And then it's just like sore. But yeah, it's not pleasant, and there's nothing you can really do about it. But there's like when I had my first one, it was like this is nothing to do with art. But like when I went to the doctor and they were like, well, there's a chance that some people have like one big kidney stone and then they have to like get that surgically removed, and that's just objectively worse because that's a surgery. So it's like if you're one of the lucky people who doesn't have to deal with that and they break apart while they're in the kidney, then like you'll just have, several throughout your life. And so it's just like, cool, all right. It's like this Russian roulette every year. It's like, is this going to happen again this year? But I've almost gotten used to it. Like, I think at this point, it's hard to say when it's actually happening, but I'm pretty sure, I think it's happened to me a few times now.
This is like your man period.
It kind of is, and it's it's like semi-annual.
Yeah. All right, here it comes. Yeah. No, I don't know if I've had I think I have had two, but the second one was not as bad as the first one.
Yeah, I actually think it gets easier.
Because also I didn't know what it was. I was like, did my appendix explode? I
thought the same thing. Yeah, I thought it was my appendix, but it's a different side of your body.
Yeah, so I was like, what the hell? And then they were like, oh yeah, you got a kidney stone. And they were like, it's big enough you can pass it. And then I was like, okay, give me morphine.
Cool, yeah. Can you give me drugs? Anyway, that was good piss talk.
Yeah.
We're taking the piss out of animation.
I like that.
All right, sorry.
Tie it all in. Via, did you have any other questions for Ian?
I think that's it.
Cool, well, that's the end of this creative block. Thanks to Ian for being our guest and sharing his story.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And thanks for our listeners. Follow us on Twitter at Creative Block. That's creative without the vowels, where we ask for drawing prompts and questions to ask our guests. Huge thanks to my sister Clemens for editing the podcast.
And please subscribe to our channel if you love our content. I've been your host, Gene.
And I was V. Keep being creative, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.